Parloa.
We're going to have an amazing panel discussion with MediaMarkt Saturn and Allianz Partners, all about lessons learned on rolling out agentic AI. And this will be moderated by our very own VP of Marketing at Parloa, Julie. So let's give a big round of applause and a warm welcome to our panelists as they come up on stage. And I'll hand it over to Julie for introductions. Hello. Please. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our panel. First, I want to know, how is the energy wave? How is the energy? Yes. And the good news is it's going to become even more energizing. Why? Because I have two very cool panelists here and also a great topic. The topic, as you can see, start small or think big, or also how your first AI move sets the whole trajectory for your future AI journey. So we all know, of course, the real story starts after the first move. It's about the struggles, the lessons, and also the vision that we paint along the way. And the question is, do you first start tiptoeing with pilots, or do you go all in at scale? And then once you've made the decision, what is the next move? And to explore that journey, I'm joined by two outstanding AI leaders. You see them right here. It's from two of Europe's biggest enterprises. And first, let me introduce to you Bastian. Bastian Sehnert is the head of the Data and AI Initiative Office at MediaMarkt Saturn. He has held senior roles already at Ergo and One-on-One before, and he's been at MediaMarkt Saturn for 2.5 years, first leading customer care strategy and innovation. And because he was doing apparently a very good job, because now he's leading the broader AI and data agenda at MediaMarkt Saturn. Welcome, Bastian.
Thank you.
And then joining him and myself on stage is Pieter Viljoen. He is the Chief Data Officer at Allianz Partners, and he came on board last year after 20 years already in insurance and banking. Today, he leads Allianz Partners' data division and drives the company's data and AI strategy. And before joining, he's held senior roles at ING Bank, at Standard Bank, and many global institutions. So welcome, Pieter.
Thank you.
So you see, I have two high flyers with me here. So really cool that you're both here. And what we'll do is we first look at their first steps in the AI journey when it comes to customer communication. We'll also look at the struggles and the complexities of scaling. We will then also look at what they learned and what the success factors are and what their vision is, and of course, what role Parloa played in all of this. And we're going to get started with a warm-up exercise. Please, let's see it on here. Peter, can I click? Yes. So you will put yourself on the map, and you will do that too. Imagine this scale, this AI journey. If 1 is pilots are your comfort zone, and 10 is, oh, well, we've gone way past pilots, we're all in and at scale already with AI, where would you put yourself? I will ask the two of you, where would you put yourself, in one word to explain why. And while these two give it some thought, I would also like to have you put yourself on the map. So think about it, and I'm going to ask you first, Bastian. Where would you put yourself and why?
11.
11. Okay, one word why? Do you have a word as well?
Well, we already have 20 plus Gen AI initiatives up and running. So we are way beyond the pilot mode. And we also don't believe in piloting, as we are going full all in the countries with the customer facing, and then scale it from there.
Okay, what about you?
We see eye to eye on this, so 11. I think we look at it, we have scale, there's lots of opportunity here. If you don't start at scale, you're not gonna get the benefits from this. So no POCs, there's no concept to prove the concept works. No pilots, you don't tackle the difficult issues first.
2 11s, very bold statements you just heard. We're going to dive deeper into this. And it's cool because I love, of course, the boldness and also how far we are. But this is also why I invited those two on stage, so we can all learn from them. And of course, both of you were not always 11s, I assume. That is why I would like to rewind and take us back to the beginning of the story. And then maybe start with you, Peter, what your first step actually was in the AI journey and why you started there. Please share this with us.
Yeah, we looked at something that we could automate end to end so that it has an impact, it can make a real difference, and we can do it globally across all our countries. And the obvious thing in insurance is claims automation. I think that's quite known, but we really wanted to make not just the OCRs where you get claims submitted and you understand and extract all the information from the documents, but you really check fraud, you reason on the deductibles, you do all the different steps. And that also helped us with defining the approach for AI, which is really, you don't have a single AI, you break down the complexity into many, what now is called agents. So we started with end-to-end claims automation.
Well, thank you. What about you?
Well, for us, it was the customer care area of fields where we first started with the AI use cases. Our very first generative AI use case was something very simple as telling the customer or the ability for the customer to know the opening hours of our stores. And we learned from that. We scaled it also in countries first. So my approach was always to go into Austria as a smaller market that speaks German. If we fail there, then it's, well, not that much of a hard issue as when we were failing in Germany. So, but when we learn from that, customer faced, we can then scale to Germany and to other markets faster on that. After the opening hour spot, we went more into how we can automate things on the customer sides, on the IVR. And at that point where we learned about Parloa, and Parloa helped us there with a dedicated use case for FAQ.
Mm-hmm. Can you maybe also elaborate a little bit on yours? You said you started with that very streamlined or very clear use case. Maybe tell a bit more and give a bit more about the background on geographically where you started or what some other aspects were.
Yeah, so we really looked at value. We didn't understand there's risk if you fail, but we also wanted to have impact from the beginning. So we looked at one of our largest markets geographically, that's the UK. And we looked at specifically the travel claims that we have there, and we went to understand the existing processes end to end and really make sure we help claims handlers, operational teams to be able to offload to the machines.
Exactly. Something you didn't mention, but I know when we prepared up front, is that also one decision that you took in this first move is that you will work with multiple vendors. I know that's something that you have in common. What is the reason why? Why did you do that? Because I see, of course, some advantages to it, but then, of course, it might also be a recipe for chaos or, juggling many balls at once. Maybe you want to add a little bit to that.
It was an upfront, very deliberate strategy to say best in class, because there was a lot of questions and thoughts around how do you standardize, how do you create a nightmare, not create a nightmare with SLAs, how do you manage all the providers, but if you think about it, the landscape technology-wise is quite a large stack. You all the way from the channels right into lower level automation and decision making. So there's a lot of players, and we also wanted to keep it open. I think the way we look at AI is essentially it's real-time microservices. So it's a lot of APIs, and so it is a plug and play type of ecosystem. That means you can't really make a mistake. We always say plug in and out. If you don't like it, you replace it. So that meant we could pick the best at voice, the best at documents, and even use our internal teams for anything more statistical that is not just LLMs.
How about you, Luis? Was it different for you? What was your approach when it comes to strategy, picking of the right vendors?
Well, I can not add that many things to what Peter already mentioned. I'm always very agnostic when it comes to technology, so we always looked at it of what brings the highest value to our situation at the moment. Either if it's an internal development, do we want to spend the time on learning this capability, and we already knew from the beginning we will, as a company, not reinvent another LLM. But we need to understand how we use it, how we get the data to work. And this is the core capability for us. So we then divided between what are we doing internally with our own developers and where do we find partners that could help us in there. And then we didn't want it to have one size fits all. We wanted to really look into what are the strengths of the different partners in there. And what I love is that when you're juggling the same ideas with different partners, you're getting different outcomes, and then you can, enrich everything a little bit on the road. yes, you need a strong governance, your SLA and QBRs and name it. But if you have that in place, if you have a good organization, how to manage the partners, then it's a smooth run.
Yep. Okay. Interesting to hear. And obviously, I would not be a good marketer if I didn't ask that today here at Wave. For your first move, what was Parloa's role in it, and why did you choose to partner with Parloa?
Yeah, it started for us at completing the picture. So we were very actively looking at other parts of our business. We wanted to do this at big, talking about the 11 and as vast as possible, which means not just automating claims, but making all the little of thousands of decisions we make in a more high quality environment. That means back-end decision making. And we soon realized that if we source the decision making to AI instead of claims adjudicators, call center agents to make a decision real time as they have a customer case on the phone, that we also need to make sure that the intake, the conversation with the customer is well handled as optimally as possible. So we have agents in the background making smart decisions, but we really also needed to guide and ask the right customers and engage in a conversation with the customer. So true voice and specialist voice agentic became the only way to hand over to our backend agents in a robust way. So a multi-agent system. And that's where we find, again, the best in class, really specialized in voice. And Parloa was clearly specialist. We didn't find vendors that were close at this stage. We still don't think that there are many that are close.
Thank you for sharing. What do you say, Bastian? What was your reason why? Why did Parloa stand out as a good partner for your first move?
Well, it's like I mentioned in the beginning. So we started in the customer care area out with developing own small generative AI use cases, and we saw that we will not adapt and scale in that speed that we want to do in all the countries. So we looked for a partner who is basically a speedboat in terms of comparison to a huge organization like ours, who can help us with a very defined use case to scale it to all countries. Because the adoption is the importance. The buy-in of the countries are mandatory to us. So we wanted to give them an AI capability on a fast pace. And Parloa basically provided us with a plan how to scale very fast in all of our countries. We are in 11 countries in Europe, so that is not an easy task, and also had a good compliance to the EU AI Act and best in class for customer experience. So in the end, we were sold on that.
Cool, thank you. So it's definitely best in class, being specialized in a certain area or field, and then being legally compliant, but then also bringing that speed to the project that I hear are important factors for you. Okay, so great. That was the first move, but we all know this is only half of the story. The real struggle comes after, and that is when it comes to scaling. And in fact, let me see if this works. I brought a beautiful stat with me when it comes to scaling. If the technical team can help me with the next slide. Yes, no, not that one, but no, also not that one. It is this one. In fact, Gartner predicts that over 40% of all agentic AI projects will be cancelled by end of 2027. That is, I would say, a very sobering statement. That means that almost half of all projects will die before they even deliver. So that is why my question to you, maybe first to you, Pieter, is what makes, in your own experience, scaling of AI so difficult?
I think you need to think of it as capabilities from the beginning. So we think of it as a horizontal layer across our global organization. If we do too much projects in isolation, what we call patchwork, then you won't be able to scale. So again, comes a bit back to the proof of concept pilot thinking. If you start building up a platform and you have the agents horizontally so that you can scale horizontally and vertically for that matter, then and you set it up from the beginning, then you have scale by definition. That does mean you sacrifice a little bit of time in the beginning, but you make up that very quickly.
What about you? Scaling, what makes it so difficult? What are the main factors?
Well, I totally agree. If you don't plan the scaling in the beginning and just have a pilot without the scaling, then it's just theater. So it needs to have a meaningful way to scale forward. I think the important thing is that you have the buy-in of the organization. And for us, this is rather challenging. We have 11 countries. All of the countries have an own P&L. And then you try central governed an AI project to run through. So you need to have good conversations about what is the purpose of what you are doing, why you are doing it. And then the more you have the buy-in, the more the support you get to really make it land.
And did that always work that way? Because we're talking struggles here and challenges. You're putting it now already the other way. But what did you experience?
Well, of course, it's challenging from time to time. But in the end, especially when it comes to how can AI support your work in the future, how can AI support the customer and the employee, this is always something that finds a common ground. The question is most of how will things be implemented, what is the impact, what is the adoption, what is the strategy behind it. And that needs a lot of communication. So I think the governance part of things in those projects, the alignment part of things is equally important as the tech implementation, when it's not even more important.
Talking about the tech implementation though, and we heard about the organizational side, but then there's also technical things that don't always go super smoothly. Maybe you can share some experiences with the audience here on this one.
It's not so much in the AI itself as it is to technically get it connected. So we have a lot of legacy backend systems. To get the speed on connecting to systems is much slower than we anticipated. So quality itself from the AI going quite well, but getting this at scale integrated into our IT landscape, that's the technical challenge.
Yes, so what we hear, scaling is pretty tough. It has to do with the technical side. It also has to do with organizational adaptation for sure. Let's hold that thought of these things. I also want to look at the flip side of it and see beyond these struggles what actually works. So what are the lessons that you've learned? And I'd love to hear from you, maybe starting with you again. If 40% of the projects, as we see here, are doomed, how can you ensure that you're not part of the 40%? And what would you share with me and the audience are your top 3 success factors for introducing and scaling AI?
Well, it's linking value to the case. So a good KPI set. It's built-in compliance. So in best case, you have everything figured out in the project, in the design phase about compliance that needs to be known, so that can be scaled without hustle. And the adoption. You can place any AI somewhere. If the people are not willing to use it or not capable to use it, it will not fly.
Can you maybe elaborate a bit on the 1, 2, 3 again, a little bit deeper? Because I think that's super interesting. There's a lot to unpack. So maybe you can share an anecdote or two on this.
Okay, of course. So I am confronted every day with grand ideas about how AI can increase my work efficiency. And then we look a little bit deeper down the road, and then we see that maybe this particularly a person saves 20 minutes of their time writing emails. And of course, from this point of view, it is totally worthwhile to look into that. But you need to have a common understanding about what's the value, what is the target that you want to achieve there. So we look for a lot of EBIT relevant cases where we can basically really make efficiency. And we do have a very beautiful case live since a couple of weeks. We are quite often having the situation that we are sending back a device that was handed in for repair. And it was, basically the guy could not find any error on the device because the repair description was not well and good enough. So we created an AI for the store employee to check the repair description if it's sufficient enough to conduct a repair. And if not, then basically ask the customer beforehand, hey, can you please give some more additional information to that? This is a very beautiful case. It was investigated and deployed within 2 days. And it's now helping both the customer and us as a store to get efficiency, because we are not sending back and forth unnecessarily the devices on that. So having a really tracking on the value helps those cases to run to life. Built-in compliance, the same as that. We have an AI enablement platform where we are basically linking all of our LLMs together. So the employees are capable to use the AI enablement platform with all the LLMs behind it, like an OpenAI, Llama, you name it. And there is a reductant filter a bit in that. So all the security measurements are being taken that no personal data has been uploaded. So we are helping the employees to use AI without even worrying, hey, there might be a problem on that. And the third pillar is the enablement. So and that's basically how we are reducing for our people and also for the customers the stress of using AI, the fear of using AI. What will do AI with us as as people? So because when you're looking at customer care, we are saying mostly we are deflecting calls. What does that mean, deflecting calls? It is impacting people. And those are things that needs to be addressed there as well to create an adoption to that.
Really, really good points. Thank you. How about your top 3 success factors?
Again, a large overlap, but I'll word it a bit from a different angle. I think it starts with value, and that aligns with strategy. You cannot say, let's see if it works in this area. You need to really understand from your P&L downwards where this could have impact. You could say it improves customer satisfaction loosely, but then you're not driving a big enough KPI or metric. So it's clear that the impact here can be both in terms of costs, both internal and external costs, but also errors. So any fraud, waste, or abuse, or leakage, or incorrect decision making. So you need clear objectives, and that objectives must be, coming back to Bastian's point, aligned across. Then you get everyone on the same North Star or objective, and those must be defined quite rigorously. So we set up each of our AI initiatives before we started really a study on the statistics and the volumes, the likelihood of us actually having an impact, and if it was too small, we don't do it. Of course, you then later can do a bit smaller use cases, but you need to start with the big and most impactful things. Otherwise, you don't move the needle fast enough. And then the second one is, again, set up. Once you have everyone excited about it and willing to really drive this forward, you need to be set up for delivery. And actually, I think there it's very different than especially in our global size, to how we typically do projects. I think you have to set up delivery teams in a real agile delivery way. Instead of iterating a couple of times like you would do with software, you rather iterate very frequently. The technology is not mature, but it's very new to understand exactly what you need to do with it and how to fine tune it. So you need to trim the edge cases. You need to really work on all the elements and really fine tune. So you need strong product ownership, really an agile delivery approach where you rapidly iterate and fine tune. And you do that in combination with your objective. So you really need to measure, iterate, and improve the whole time. And then third one is, none of this really works if you don't have connectivity to data. The whole MCP discussion is interesting. Let's see how much it helps us. It's also a risk that promises too much. So I would really just start with good open API specifications, and then MCP can follow. But those, for me, are the 3 things. Get everyone aligned on a clear objective, measure that, iterate quickly, and then make sure you have connectivity.
Super interesting. And I think here again, we hear a lot, yes, it's about metrics, governance, and the organizational adaptation, but then of course also technology. So it's always 2 sides that we see. And then in every company, it's slightly different, but the main perspectives you share. Really interesting. Thank you. So now, dear audience, we've looked back at the first steps, we've heard about the challenges, but then also the lessons that we learned. What I would like to finish with now is by looking ahead. And also for this, I brought a slide, a wonderful prediction. Let me see if this is the right one. It is, yes. Something that you have heard from our CEO, Malte, earlier is that Gartner predicts that agentic AI will autonomously resolve 80% of common customer service cases. Yeah. So that in itself, I think, is impressive. But what we also heard earlier, and what we at Parloa believe in, is that agentic AI can do so much more. There's opportunities empowering sales, in marketing, and also customer engagement in a much broader way. So I would like to ask first you, Bastian, and then you, Peter, what's the vision that you are working toward with AI when looking at this? And also, of course, interested in what Parloa's role in it is.
Good. So, of course, agentic AI is a big topic up in our head, and it will go beyond the conversational and the prompting. So it will reduce friction, and that will increase the customer experience in there. We strongly believe that the agentic approach will be helping how customers will use our products and services in the future, and it will reduce basically the need how to interact with our back-end systems, because the agent will be taking care of that. That's a very exciting area that we are looking into that. Currently, our own strategy is that we bring AI into every customer and employee interaction. That is the main goal that we want to do. So leveraging of AI in all areas. And the role of Parloa is bringing the voice to that. So I hope to see more and more interactions with Parloa on the voice side of things. So happy for that.
Cool. And I think you mentioned when we prepared for the panel also some geographical expansion. That's your vision, is that right?
Yeah, so we are in 11 countries, and those countries has all different needs. So with Turkey, for example, we are outside the European Union. So some additional potentials in use cases are there as well. And bringing those different sites and those different cultures and flavors together in one umbrella is kind of the story that we are trying to do in our team.
Exciting stuff. Thank you. How about you?
I think if you think of it just a step back and we go a bit further to what we're doing now, what is the main goal here is customer peace of mind. I think if you have that, you have quite an exponential effect that customers keep transacting with you more, trust your brand more, even more than they currently do. And you only do this peace of mind if you're able to have an operational backbone that really can serve them, because they actually have a lot of expectations. Right now, I think we know as a customer, if you call a call center or you want to do a specific service request, you're limited. Your expectations is also lower. So I think by being able to operate operationally, really be more robust, handling any type of, what's your question? How can I help you today? Really opens the door for customers to trust us more and more trust in the brand. And then I think it allows us to also focus on using our network and our brand to think of new service combinations. We are in the partners game, Allianz Partners, so we have a network that is globally very strong, providers of services, partners. We partner with banks, travel companies, OEMs, etc. So that if the quicker we can be and the better we can be at servicing customers, the more we can look at really expanding and new structures and new deals.
Wow, really great visions that we heard about. Thank you for showing it where it can go. I'd like to take it for a last one, take it back to the here and now. And I would like each of you to give to the leaders here in this room one last concrete takeaway. So what is one piece of advice that you would give everyone here in this room before they take their next AI move? Please, Peter.
Think of many AI agents, not just one.
Like it, short and snappy. How about you, Bastian?
take it as a business transformation and not as an IT tech lab.
Okay, fantastic. This was really, really fantastic. We've come to the end of our panel. I have learned a lot. I'm sure you in the audience have as well. I think we learned about that AI pilots aren't just pilots, or AI isn't just pilots and experiments anymore. It's here to stay, and it's here to make real impact. I think we learned from these two that also scaling is really tough, yes, but there are clear patterns for success. So what Bastian and Pieter said, with the right priorities and the right structures and also the right partners, you can make real impact with AI, and also huge impact on your customer communication and creating excited customers and meaningful relationships. And this is what it's all about. So as you leave today, all of you, ask yourself where on the scale that I showed earlier you will be in a year from now. So at next year's wave, where will you put yourself? And with that, let's give a huge round of applause to Pieter and Bastian for sharing these great insights and experiences. Thank you.
Parloa.